when I would talk to them and then we'd have conversations and I'd hang out with them, it would be different than when I picked up my camera. Like they automatically kind of knew what I was doing, even though they were young, and some really young, like, 5, 6, 7, 8. And they would, as soon as the camera came up and they knew that I was taking their picture, they would put a much more serious face. And it's like, in the portraits, I didn't tell them how to look at the camera. They just did it. I think they knew that I was doing a project on child marriage, and I think most of the families understand that this is very young to be married. And I think the girls themselves realize this. So I think people shared their story because they wanted to have their voices heard, and they wanted to tell people what they were going through. Well, one thing that we wanted to do for sure over this project was to not single out any specific religion. Because I started the project in Afghanistan, I didn't, and they do have very egregious cases where that's where you see the girls who are very young married to very much older men. But in other countries like India, which is predominantly Hindu, they have, that's where you see younger marriages. So the girls and boys will be married very young. And the same in Nepal. Both the girls or boys and boys won't be necessarily, so young, but they'll be 13, 14, and it's still, so you just have different issues that are related to the issue in different countries. The harmful repercussions are everything from maternal and infant mortality. If they do live through the birth, a lot of times they'll end up with fistula, they'll end up with uterine prolapse, they will have, because they have obstructed labor for a very long time because their bodies are too small to give birth. A lot of times the babies, because they have prolonged labor, will end up not having oxygen to the brain, and will end up with cerebral palsy. There's so many issues, physical issues that are related to this. At the same time, I had the honor of going to a lot of really beautiful weddings, and I really wanted to photograph the weddings because I wanted to show the beauty of these cultures as well. I wanted to show the beauty of the cultures, and there's a lot of love that's happening in these weddings, but the families are often trying to do something nice for their kids, to protect them, to keep the girls from losing their virginity because they get in some trouble with a young man, and they want to protect them long term, and they don't know what other options are. So I wanted to show the beauty of the culture, and then also show that this was an issue that needed to be dealt with, and there were harmful repercussions as well. There was a wedding of 3 sisters. The oldest sister was 15, and the middle sister was 13, and the youngest one was 5. And we talked to the family, and you could tell that the family was trying to do something good for them by having the 3 girls be able to stay in the same family. They would be able to rely on each other. And that was in India, so the little girl didn't go to the family's house right away. A lot of times in India they have what's called a gona, and it's a second marriage where after puberty then they will go to the family's house. So they don't go right away. And you could see the love that was there for the grandfather. Really, really loved this little girl, and he was trying to do something good. But like I said, they just don't have the education to understand that what's at risk, and they have to make those decisions, weigh those options. What's better, waiting, and maybe she won't be able to stay with her sisters, and they don't have the money to have 3 different weddings, so they have one. They wait till the oldest girl's as old as she can be before it's too late for her, and the youngest one is, whatever age she happens to be. So that was the situation there. But any time that the girls, where it's pretty obvious that the girls are going to end up having to consummate those marriages, it's nothing that you can feel but really sad for them, because that's a childhood that's ending at that point on some level. I've had a lot of very strong women role models in my life. My mother's a very strong woman, my grandmother's very strong, and so I've had a lot of great influence, and a lot of, they pursued their dreams. My mom was a secretary and then went back to school in her 30s and became a graphic designer. And, I've watched them try to make their lives better as they've gotten, the confidence to pursue things and to have value as a woman. I mean, it's not so long ago, even in our communities, that women weren't valued as much. And so they've been a big influence on me, and luckily I haven't had those issues. I had a woman a young girl. Her name was Mejgon. She was 15 when I talked to her. She'd been married at 11. Her father sold her for drugs. This was in Afghanistan, and she told me, in my whole life, I have never felt love. And so I was, it's so alien to me what that would feel like. And I feel like there are people who fought for their rights in my country, and in different, I feel lucky to have been the recipient of that. And I feel like it's our responsibility to fight for the rights of people who don't have them yet. And that other people will continue. This is how we should be as human beings. And we have to appreciate it, and we have to be, there's a lot of beauty in life too. And I know I do very heavy stories, but there's a lot of beauty in life. And you have to balance that by appreciating the beauty that's around you, and being so grateful to be alive and have the opportunities we have, but at the same time fight for those who don't have those opportunities and chances.